So welcome to another episode of the Camilita podcast. This is where you learn to live like a champion. On to this episode, I have got a champion that I would say, I love him already, and we've been speaking before this. Jeff Lopes is a proud father of two, and I love how he started off being a family man, a father first, and an entrepreneur. He's an entrepreneur over the last 25 years. He's founded numerous companies, 7, 8-figure corporations, including a company called True Blue, which he'll tell us about, True Blue Homes. We were talking about property just now. A vacation rental property business in Ontario. He runs martial arts, a business, martial arts equipment brand, and I saw some of it, so I want him to explain where did that come from. And he's talking about sort of founding that in his basement. So everybody's founding something in the basement. Well, I don't have no in the basement. So we want to talk about that. He's currently the host of the top-rated entrepreneurial podcast, Jeff Knows, and he will tell you what it is. Over the past 4 years, he's coached countless entrepreneurs in balancing the obstacles, and I like this, of fatherhood and entrepreneurship, and achieving a higher level of success in both areas, and that's powerful. As a fitness leadership college graduate, certified NLP Master Practitioner, coach, and best-selling author, he has taken his experiences to create Man's Purpose, and I've had a chance to look at that online. The fastest growing community of entrepreneur dads on the planet. So he's going to tell us more about it. Let's welcome to the Camilita podcast, Mr. Jeff Lopes.
I think we should end it after that intro. That was it right there. I love your energy. I just want to say that right off the bat. I love your energy. I love what you're doing. So I appreciate you having me on today. So this is exciting. It's going to be a fun conversation today.
Look, Jeff, let's jump right into it, right?
Yeah.
I love the fact, and we talked about this just before, we talked about technology and where technology is going and what we're doing and all of that. But why is being a dad and having balance and then starting this community for entrepreneur dads, why is that equally important to you as entrepreneurship?
It's more important. And why is living with no regrets. I think the biggest aspect as entrepreneurs, we're so focused on growing our business, achieving more and more and more. And there's always that moment that hits most entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Whether it's divorce, whether it's loss of communication with their children,
Yeah.
whether you look at your children and the years are passed and they're not growing up to be the individuals you want them to be. Or it's losing touch with a loved one, or time passing and a loved one passing away, and you having the regrets of not doing or spending the time with them. And I think a lot of people, when you look at most people on their deathbed, it's that reflection on regrets.
Yeah.
And we only have one trip around this thing we call life. Why do we constantly live with regrets? And my goal is to understand that we have the opportunity to live in the present. We're always looking at the future, how much money we're going to make. We're always focused on the past of who's done wrong to us, what has happened wrong to us. We need to look at the past, learn from the past, study it. Don't forget it, study it, learn from it.
Yeah.
The future will come. Have your goals, but focus on the present.
Yeah.
Being a dad, being a partner, a husband, spending time with your loved ones. It is so valid. Like I lost my dad now going on to 8 months ago.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
And I could talk about this all the time, and I've talked about this so many times, where he was my best friend. I'm the 44-year-old that would talk to my dad 2-3 times a day. And I spent time with him, and he spent time with his grandchildren and my children. But you still have regrets. You still have so many things you wish you did. So I see this all the time with entrepreneurs. And there's a reason why so many entrepreneurs are separated from their families, because they're so focused and they're so driven on being the best, but they forget the most important things in life. And the minute you could truly understand and grasp that as a man, as a father, as a husband, the world starts getting better. Things start falling in place. A true entrepreneur could always make money.
Yeah.
You lose money, you know what? It's a game. It's a constant game of how many wins, how many losses you
Yeah.
stack. In the end of the day, you're
Yeah.
trying to stack more wins and losses. So you're going to have down times, you're going to have good times. But a true entrepreneur will always find a way to make money.
Mm.
And I've done that time after time after time. So
Okay,
the
question,
company,
question,
yeah, yeah,
question, no question. Was that a point in your life when that changed for you? Because for
yeah,
most
of course,
entrepreneurs,
of
we've
course.
had an aha moment. It's either illness or death of a family member or loss of a loved one or divorce or whatever. What was it? What was the turning point for you?
Yeah, it was my son. I mean, I don't know if you know the story. It was when my son was born, going on to close to 14 years ago. It was April 19th, 2008. It was an aha moment. I was your typical entrepreneur. I was working crazy hours. I was
Mm,
constantly out of the house. I was so focused on building and growing my businesses. I was disconnected slightly with my
mm,
wife.
mm,
I wasn't paying attention to my year-and-a-half-year-old daughter that she needed at that time. And it was my wife was pregnant at that time, 32 weeks pregnant at the time, and she got rushed to the hospital. It was a Friday afternoon, and my son was born. And a doctor pulled me in a room and said, I never forget these words. He said, God has given you a child today, and God has decided to take your child away.
oh,
And I looked at him, and it was just one of those moments where they pulled me in a room. They said, listen, your son's probably got about 5, 10 minutes left of life. Do you have a name for him? We didn't even have a name for him yet. And the first name that came to my head was Tiago, which stands for God's warrior. And I'm not even a religious person. And I just wrote that on the birth certificate. And and that's when everything changed. I mean, we spent the next 4 months of our lives. It was just, and like I said, I'm not a very religious person. It was like miracle after miracle, opportunity after an opportunity. And we spent the next 4 months of our lives, and we're very blessed. We have one of the greatest hospitals, pediatric care hospitals in the world, and Sick Kids Hospital. And we spent the next 4 months of our lives there, and we almost lost him 3, 4 times. We were put in the room by doctors 3, 4 times to stop working on him. And and I never gave up. And I got to the point where I obsessed with getting him out of the hospital. And we were there
wow.
7 days a week, from 7 in the morning till 6, 5, 6 in the afternoon, every single day. And it was roughly just about 4 months of him being there. And I looked at the doctors and I said, it's time for him to come home. And they're like, he can't come home yet. He was 4.5 pounds still. He never swallowed in his life. He's on a feeding tube
Wow.
still. And somehow we convinced the doctors to allow us to take him home. And I looked at my wife, and before he was discharged, they had to diagnose him.
Mhm.
And they diagnosed him with CP, cerebral palsy. And they said, um, his brain was so severely damaged that it's a good chance he'd be confined to a wheelchair his whole life.
Oh.
And that's when that was my moment. Honestly, like I looked at my wife the next day and I said, like, my biggest fear is to wake up
Mm,
50, 60 years old and look at my son and think I
mm,
didn't give him every single opportunity possible to
mm,
exceed and get to where he possibly could get to. And that's when the journey started. And every single day,
gosh.
from every single therapy to every single exercise, and it was just time and time. And what I had to do is I had to clock into my schedule non-negotiables, and my family became a non-negotiable every day.
Mm, mm,
And
mm,
my work and everything else surrounded around that. And we went
mm.
from possible wheelchair to AFO braces, where he was wearing braces up to his knees. They said he would be in braces up to his knees till he was about 18, 19.
Wow.
And we set all these goals, and we put all these papers in his room, and we set all these incredibly goals that every doctor said would never happen. And I said one of their goals was before his 13th birthday, I wanted to run a marathon with him. And by his 12th birthday, he was out of his braces. And this year he turned 13, April 19th. April 18th, we ran our first marathon together.
Oh,
And
wow.
this has been this incredible journey as a father, and incredible journey. A lot of people say that Tiago, he was meant to be my son because my drive, my passion,
Mhm,
I have that unstoppable mindset. When I put something in my mind, I don't care what it is, it's going to
mhm,
get done.
mhm,
But I'm the opposite. When I'm thinking and I look at my son, I go, he was meant to be my son because the
mm,
lessons he's taught me, the man he's made me be, the more
mm,
passionate, the
mm,
more the more
mm,
driven. And it's been this incredible journey. And
mm.
everything he's been through and everything we've been through as a family, I wouldn't change anything. because it's made us so close. And he's the sweetest little angel in the world. And he's a little fitness fanatic at 13. This kid works out every single day. And it's been just an incredible journey. And that was my aha moment. That was the moment where I realized what was important in our life.
So tell us then, for people who are still on that treadmill,
yeah,
and we know, because I went through a period where I got ill and I had to stop. And even now, when I see my hands or I feel pain, I'm like, okay, God is talking to me. I need to stop. I need to slow down. So even now, this is like a reminder to me every single day, your health and your mindset is more important than another property. Yeah. For those that are listening, what would you say to those entrepreneurs? Okay, so we're coming to that whole community of, dads. What would you say to those entrepreneurs that are listening? You know it's going to happen because it has happened to every single entrepreneur. You know it's going to happen. What would you tell them that they need to do now to prevent this from happening? And or if they're going through it, how do they deal with it?
I mean, just simple. I mean, if you're in a hospital bed, how are you going to take care of your family and your business? You need to put yourself on top of the podium. Like Oprah says, you got to fill your cup up first.
Yeah.
So as much as I am focused on my family, focused on my business, focused on my social growth, I still put myself above everything. My health, mentally, spiritually, physically, is first. I make sure I work out. I make sure I take my vitamins. I make sure I take care of myself, because I realize if I could take care of myself first, my energy levels are at a different level. So I'm able to provide time and effort for everyone else. So the first thing when you're looking at your schedule every month is locking in the non-negotiable things. One is time for yourself, time to take care of yourself, time to rest, time to heal. Take a daily vacation, 15, 20 minutes, do something you love, whether it's reading, walking.
Yeah.
Fill yourself up first. Then the cup overflows and you start filling up the cups of your family. That overflows and you start filling up the cups of your business. Everything happens. We all have 24 hours in one day. There's a reason why some people are so successful and they got great health and they got great family life. What is your excuse? I mean, a lot of people, another thing I've learned to do is look at my schedule and study it to the point where I realize there's tons of things in your schedule that don't need to be there.
Oh.
And there's tons of people in your life that don't need to be there. Once you could really understand and grasp that and really hone that in and understand that there's certain aspects of your day-to-day operations that you could easily pass on to your staff, easily remove, or there's certain jobs that don't have to be perfect. It just got to be done.
Indeed. Do you know, I tell you something. I tell my staff, I tell everybody in my life, treat everything. Is it urgent? Is it important? Or can it wait? Because most things are not urgent. It may be urgent to you, but that's not my sense of urgency. Yeah. It may be important to you, but it's not important to me. It can wait. So let it wait. My sanity is more important than your urgency. It ain't happening.
100%. 100%.
But I think we go through things to get to that point. We realize after a while, oh, this served them instead of serving me. And so I'm at a loss because of it. And I think and that's the thing.
But I think we have to analyze things before they get into motion. And the minute we have a new task, a new opportunity, a new individual in our lives, analyze it, how much effort, how much time it's going to be to keep this relationship going, to keep this business going, to keep this new venture going. And now really assess, is it worth it? I look at everything and I say, put on a scale of 1 to 5. The importance. If it's a 1 or 2, it could be put back there. It'll take care of itself. So really, really analyze what you're doing on a regular basis. When I go back, I want to go back to even the people in your life. People don't realize that negativity and having people around you that are just constantly playing the victim card, how draining it is on you. Mentally, spiritually, physically draining on you. There's certain people that shouldn't be in your life.
Well, listen.
That could be family, that could be friends.
I have a list for them. Jeff, I have a list for them. Wasters, mourners, whiners, complainers, losers, and anybody else in between.
Yeah. But I think sometimes our 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 our, our heart gets in the way of smart decisions.
True.
And we have that understanding where we almost feel like you need to constantly be helping everyone else, and
Yeah.
we are not constantly helping ourselves first.
No, absolutely. So the community, Entrepreneur Dads on Planet, tell us about that community and why did you choose to set up that community?
Yeah, I mean, it's helping dads. I mean, when I started my podcast, I was bringing on these great, incredibly young entrepreneurs, and they all had the same story, where it's this constant battle to prove their dad wrong, or constant battle to prove their family wrong. And I was like,
Wow.
and they would turn to me and be like, Jeff, why are you so successful? What's your story? I'm like, well, I had a great childhood. I had a
Mm,
great dad. I had an incredible relationship. And I think some people need to focus on a trigger to make them be successful, which is
mm,
nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, too, they have to understand that they could have the best of both worlds.
yes.
We talked about before we went on air, like Gary Vee, you always hear him say that there's no such thing as balance between family and business. Yeah, there is a balance. Everybody's balance might look differently on
Mm,
paper,
mm,
but there is a balance. You could have the best of both worlds. You just have to really understand what your priorities are. There's so many stats. I mean, there's stats that say you spend 90% of your face time with your children before the age of 18.
mm.
There's certain stats of divorce rate for entrepreneurs. When you understand these stats, and then you sit down and analyze which highway you're driving on,
It's
which
true.
direction you're going, you can really understand, like, are you on the right track? Are you on the wrong track?
Mm.
And once you could really be honest with yourself, and that's the biggest thing, being honest with yourself, that's when decisions start to become
So do
action.
you think men are harder on themselves than women are, as far as this is concerned?
I think women will easily forgive themselves more.
Mhm.
And I think men we're put into society, which has changed a lot in the
Yeah.
last maybe 10, 15 years, of the quote unquote provider.
Mhm.
And especially in North America, women are becoming very independent. Women are getting a lot better careers, jobs. They're moving up, pay scales evening out, which is so important for us to kind of level up the playing field. But
Mm,
I still think men at home feel like they are the provider, and
mm.
that pressure of being the provider focuses them on saying, "Hey, if my kid has that skateboard, he's gonna love me."
Yeah.
And they don't realize your kid doesn't want that skateboard. When they get that skateboard, they're so happy that you acknowledge them, that you've spending time to go do something for them. If you were to take that kid and spend a day with them and do something that's special to them, something they love,
Yeah.
and you're building memories, they're going to appreciate those memories, because one day when you're not around, they're going to sit back and look at those memories. Because my dad, Ferry, didn't have a lot. My parents, we came from very, very honest beginnings, but I have so many memories. I could sit
Mm.
back and talk for weeks and months at a time of just memory after memory I built with my dad when I was a kid.
Wow.
So being able to understand that one day when you're not gone, those memories are going to be passed on from generation to generation.
Yeah.
Not those gifts they're going to break and people are going to forget about it and be thrown in the garbage or donated a couple of years later. Focus on building memories with your families.
So if people are listening and they want to join this community, how do they join?
Yeah, just reach out to go to jeffreylopes.com, JeffreyLopes.com, and just reach out to me, or just reach out to me social media, Instagram. I'm more present on Instagram than anything like that, is at Jeff Lopes. And at the end of the day, it's just helping people, giving
Yeah.
back. You know it is, right? You get to a certain aspect or a certain level of your life where you've achieved enough that you realize that there's opportunity for other people to give back and learn
Indeed.
from you, and grow from what your experience is, right? And you're constantly
Mm.
learning, you're growing, you're learning on a constant basis, a daily basis. The day you stop learning is the day you die.
So,
But you
okay,
want to pass your knowledge on to others as well, right?
let's talk to successful entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
successful men entrepreneurs that are listening and they're thinking, I know I don't have it all together. I know I'm not sure what I'm doing. I know I don't even know where I'm going. You obviously coach entrepreneurs, men, on entrepreneurship and a higher level of success in the areas. Tell us a little bit more about what exactly you work with them on. Is it the mindset, the skill set? Is it the business, the brand? What do you work with them on?
Whatever they want to work on, be honest. I mean, branding is something I'm very passionate about, but I mean, I look at finding the time and understanding it. I'm working with a high level dentist right now. I'm not giving you his name, out of the US, and incredible entrepreneur and doing incredible things. And it's just little things where allowing putting his child in daycare 2 days a week. That was just the first thing I did from the beginning. I'm like, oh, he's like, my wife doesn't have time. She's always complaining. I go, your child right now is at the point he could go to daycare. Let's incorporate him into daycare, get him more social 2 days a week. So now he's done that. Now he spend more time with his wife. Let's go on a date night with your wife once a month. Like
Mm,
little stuff where it's just little changes that are
yeah,
making a huge difference
yeah,
to people where I'm getting individuals that are high level
yeah.
entrepreneurs that need to get scaled to the next level. And that aspect will be maybe just re-strategizing their business plan, creating more
Mm,
passive incomes.
yeah.
I think a lot of us don't really understand the model of passive income and how important it is, whether it's rental, like we have a ton of rental businesses. So passive income is a huge aspect. The minute you are making money and not thinking or stressing about it, and it's coming in when you're sleeping, you wake up and you can look at your phone, there's nothing more powerful than that. And passive income is a massive part of what I do. And it's a massive part of something I try to teach other people, is building
Mm,
passive incomes that you a lot of people put all their eggs in one basket.
yeah.
Man, I have baskets all over the place. Sometimes I forget about how many baskets I have and have to go back and find them. And being able to do that,
Mm,
you become almost bulletproof to pandemics, because you're always having different streams coming in at
let's
different
talk about
times.
that. The
Yeah.
one thing, I mean, my mantra to my clients and people across the globe is to create multiple incomes. Like I wrote an ebook on that. I do seminars on that. I do coaching. I mean, the list is endless on creating multiple incomes, because it's the one thing that will save your backside when
100%.
things go the other way, because it will. This is life. This is business. It's going to go the other way at some point.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing that will save you, especially an income generating asset that doesn't require your presence, that people need. So it's a
Yeah.
need, is not a want for the potential client or tenant or whoever. Why is it so important? Because people, I don't know, they're not listening. And they start a small business and excited about a small business. And they're like, oh my God, I'm going to make millions. And yeah, they make millions, and then they start spending. Instead of making money and investing so that they have income generating assets, they just make it and they just sort of enjoy life and they buy all the nice things. And then they realize, shite, something has happened, a pandemic, some illness. I can't work. What am I doing? What am I doing now? What are you going to say to those people that are listening and they're like, I am close to that, I'm in that, or I don't want to even get to that?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a situation where people have that understanding where a lot of people live outside their means. That's the first thing.
Mm-hmm.
Living inside your means are very important. Second is, I had that also the aha moment I brought my son home, and that is when I really dived into real estate. And we're up to 10 properties now. When I dove into real estate, and I really understood that I could look at my business Camora, where that was generating a lot of money, doing extremely well. We were dealing with about 1,800 wholesalers right across North America, but I was looking at it and being like, I'm still doing the day-to-day operations. I'm still here every single day. If something were to happen to me, I get
Mm-hmm.
sick, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gone for 6 months, what's going to happen with this company? And that allowed me to look at my children and be like, I'm working my ass off right now. I'm working
Yeah,
so hard to build this. If I'm gone one day, what is left for them besides maybe a residential house or
yeah, yeah, yeah,
memories? So that's when I started realizing the hard assets, having something physically tangible that you can touch, see,
yeah,
that's going to increase in value over
yeah, yeah,
time. Real estate, something we talked about before we went
yeah.
on here, something that you're very passionate about. And that's when I started realizing that I needed to start investing in
Mm-hmm.
opportunities that were going to give back
Yeah.
on a steady passive income basis, but at the same time to increase in value over time. And
Indeed.
that's my passion of real estate. And it's crazy that we're talking about this. I was this morning researching. There's a new company that is out there. Um, Toronto or something like that. I got to research them, but I was just Googling this morning and I was just reading up on it. And it's almost like an Airbnb for cars, and people have 4, 5, 6 cars, and you literally list them, and people just come and rent your car. And it is a new platform that's out, and I don't know if it's globally, but I know he's here in North America and in Canada for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always looking at opportunities like that, right? That you're having a fleet of cars, 5, 10 cars parked on one of your properties, and you're making 5, 6 thousand a month for doing absolutely nothing. There's people renting your cars. So you're always looking at different ways to create
Indeed.
passive income, because it's so everybody puts their eggs in one basket,
Mm-hmm.
and they get that. Say you have a product and you get that one big deal with Costco,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you drop 150,000, and you provide Costco with 70, 80 skids of your product. And 1 month through the cycle, Costco says, hey, guess what? We're not flipping this quick enough. Here's your product back. And then people are stuck. And this happens time after time. And I'll give you an example. My company, Camorware, we had tons of opportunities to work with big box locations, and we haven't. We kept it at mom and papa shops in volume, because we knew we could control our
Indeed.
assets, we could control
Indeed.
our future, we could control our inventory this way. So it's being very strategic and very smart of how you create passive income, but at the same time too, how you create your businesses for longevity.
Mm.
And I think one quick thing too I'm going to throw in there is pivot. It's a word that's always thrown around quite a bit, but people seem to not understand it. You don't pivot when you're stuck in a moment. You need to be pivoting before the moment happens.
You need to be pivoting constantly, constantly.
Constantly looking at the market, studying the market, and trying to analyze what's going to happen with the market, and being able to pivot in the right direction.
You know, prior to the pandemic, 2018, 2019, I interviewed this guy. He's a global speaker on AI, blockchain technology, big data, all of that.
Yeah.
And I said to him, okay, where we are going with this? Like, I want to know. So, because I want to be ahead. And he said, you need to digitalize your processes. You need to do this. You need to focus on AI in your business. I'm like, fine, show me what I need to do. So I did it. I just had him on a podcast. He came and spoke on my summit. And I said, show me. And I implemented those strategies before the pandemic. We were working at home 3 years before the pandemic. So when the pandemic hit and us, everybody go to work from home, we just laughed because all of us, the staff was just working from home. You know, we were all good. All the people that we work with across the world were also all working from home. So the ones that we had in-house were working from home, and the ones that we contracted abroad were also working from home. And so everybody else was like scrambling to go work from home. And I'm like, you don't wait until something happens, you make it happen. No, there's this article here. I found this on Newsbite, on Twitter, and we're talking about this whole property thing and multiple incomes. Reportedly, this is when that whole thing came out of China, saying that they're richer than America, whatever, you know, all that sort of, but in a different way. 68% of global wealth is stored in real estate. The rest is locked in infrastructure, machinery, and equipment, along with intangible goods like patents and IP.
Yeah.
And I look at that and I thought, well, I'm in the right business. You know, I'm so glad I'm in the right business. And we preach this to people, we tell this to people, and sort of still that they're wondering, should I do this? Should I do this? If you had to do it all over again, or in what you're doing now and everything else that you're doing, what would you do best?
I'm a strong believer that you don't change what has happened in the course of you learn from it. I would have probably gone into real estate a little earlier.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But I'm happy with the path I've taken. I'm content because it all happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a religious person, but I do believe in karma, and I do believe in everything happens for a reason. And I think a lot of people sometimes are so fearful of taking opportunity. And that word fear is another word that's thrown around so loosely, but is so powerful. And this is fear, what I talk about all the time. I mean, fear is something that's taught to us by our parents. You hear your mom always, don't touch the stove, you're gonna bring your hand, don't run down the stairs, you're gonna fall. I talk about this all the time. And I think once we start growing up, that fear of taking opportunity, whether it's a business, a job, or that level of comfort, getting out of that level of comfort, that fear of doing something unknown. We
Mhm.
have to stop living in fear, because fear is just crippling us as a society. The minute we could remove ourselves from that fear
Yeah.
and not be scared to take opportunity, not be scared to fail. Failure is okay. I think with social media, people are so worried about fear and how people are going to react to their posts, or how people are going to react to what they're doing, or their opportunities. It's true, right? And I think we need to stop living with fear. When I put something in my head, I couldn't give a shit what people think or people are going to say. I just do it. If I lose, I lose. I learn from it. You move on.
Indeed.
And knowing when to cut your losses too. That's another
Indeed.
aspect too. A lot of people fall in love with their ideas, fall in love with a product, fall in love with a business venture that has no chance.
Mm, mm.
And understanding the minute you realize that, hey, this is ain't gonna work, cut your losses, move on. There's tons of other ideas
And
and
that
ventures
that
out there.
right there is a really power of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
The fact that my mantra, I tell my clients, my staff, my everybody, if it's not making money, it's not making sense. Just deal with it. Okay, move
Yes.
on. If your business is designed to make money, it's not making money, it's not making sense. Move on. Do it quickly before you sort of get yourself all turned up and spending money like you're crazy and wondering why is it not happening, living in a sort of insanity paradise. Just stop and change and do it quickly. But obviously take wise counsel in doing it so it doesn't, repeat itself. But it's so very important what you just said, that people need to really just get it. They just need to get it.
I love it. I love it.
One last question before we close off.
Yes.
You clearly are a champion. You're living like a champion. You are, obviously, I mean, the part that I think is so heartwarming for me is that whole entrepreneur dance community, because I think it's so powerful. There are very few men that step up in that sort of way. Men step up all the time. I mean, some people been knocking men because of the pandemic, but men step up in ways in which we sometimes women don't appreciate, but men step up. And they step up when they do have to step up. So this is really commendable of you doing this, and obviously coaching entrepreneurs so they can be better and have success in all areas. What does living like a champion mean to you? Clearly, you got your real estate, you got your business, you all of that. But what does living like a champion mean to you?
Walking home every day and opening the front door and having a smile on my kid's face.
Oh,
That is that should be the meaning of life for most dads.
Yeah, that every time I ask this question, nobody says money. You know what I mean? Nobody says money. Nobody says money.
Money comes and goes. Money comes and goes. Money is spent. I live in my means. I mean, I drive a Jeep Wrangler because it's convenient, because it's my style. It's me. I could drive a nicer car. I drive that because it fits my lifestyle. So understanding that items come and go. I'm the type where I might have an expensive watch. If it breaks, I move on. I don't put a emotional attachment to physical items.
Yeah,
I put emotional attachment to humans.
lovely.
And understanding that, man, it's just, life is so short. We're here for just a short little ride. Some of us are lucky enough to have a little longer ride. Some of us,
Yeah.
I mean, you hear it all the time. People in their 20s and 30s passing with disease and cancer and heart disease, and you see this, and it's like, man, life is short. Live it to the fullest. Live it without fear. Spend as much time as you possibly can doing the things you simply love and have passion for every single day.
Do you know what, Jeff? In the end, and there will be an end. Okay? There's going to be an end for every. There's going to be an end. In the end, what people remembers most is not how much money you've earned, because they forget all of that. That's a sad thing. That's a reality. The likes on social media doesn't make any difference.
You hear it all the time. Have you ever seen a hearse being followed by a bank truck? You don't. Money means nothing. Money means nothing at the end of the day. Obviously, you want to make sure your children are provided for. Indeed. You want to make sure that they're taken care of. But I mean, I fended for myself. I never got nothing from my parents, and I did okay. So you want to be able to give them a better life. I get that. And there's a lot of people that had a rough childhood, and they want to be able to provide their children with a better life. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's commendable. But at the same time, too, remember that the time you spend with them, the love you provide to them, the memories you build with them, that is what they're going to take with them. Not the dress, not the gloves, not the clothes, not the toys. That means nothing at the end of the day. That means absolutely nothing.
I mean, I feel your heart when you're saying it. So how can people reach you? People want to hear, people want to reach you. They want to talk to you. Where do they go to reach you? Which is the best place? Tell them.
IG. Instagram is where I'm most present. I'm all the time on. You DM me. I love talking to people. I love connecting with people. I love interacting with people. I love meeting individuals like yourself. I can't wait for you to come to Toronto, Canada, because we can hang out and I could take you out for a nice dinner.
Yay!
And that's what it's all about, right? Communicating and surrounding yourself around good humans. That's all. That's
my friend, I'll introduce you to my friend. Actually, she is an attorney, one of the top female attorneys in all of Canada. And she lives on Richmond Hill. Is that a, you know?
Yeah.
Whenever we come, she takes us out for dinners, and she's just I'll introduce you to her. She's amazing. So it was so lovely talking to you. Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Let me do a quick little screenshot of photos.
Yes, me as well. We need the evidence, darling.
Smile, big smile. Awesome.
Indeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Right, guys, thank you so much for this session today. Please remember what Jeff said. Go now and reach out to him. Jeff Lopes. I call him Lopez because that's my friend's name, but it's Lopes. Just go to his website. Join. Find him on IG. That's where you can send him a direct message. And remember some of the things in which you talked about, that whole turning point. Where is that happening for you? Has that happened already? If it isn't, it will come. Let me tell you. Find and understand exactly what you're doing, what you're creating, and what finds the most meaning in your life. Do it, get it done, so that you too can live like a champion. This is Camilita here from Camilita.com saying I'll see you soon, and I will see you at the top.